Hey friends, welcome. My name is James Hardy with One Love Yoga. Today I'm going to be leading you through a 60-minute Restore Yoga class. And Restore Yoga, I love. We get a chance to really focus on relaxing first off, and then getting a really deep, slow breath moving. And then we'll just go through some stretches, some of which are really nice, will open up the body. And then we'll go through some other poses where you're just getting to try to let the body relax out a little bit deeper into the practice. As far as props you'll need, I've just got my yoga mat, and then I've got a little blanket just from my home. So if you've got a little blanket, awesome. If not, no worries, you'll be just fine. And then we're going to start class out today in a comfortable cross-legged position. And I've got my sit bones just up on the edge of my blanket propped up. When you're in your seat, just pull the flesh away from your sit bones or take a step back so you're right on the front edge of your sit bones. Give your shoulder heads a nice roll, so lift up towards your ears and then just release down away from the ears in the back. And then just relax your arms wherever it feels comfortable to you and close your eyes. Let's take the breath all the way down to empty. And breathe into your low belly for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe into your mid-abdomen for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Take the breath all the way to the chest, all the way to the shoulders. Once you've got the full breath, just hold and relax. And then we'll exhale for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do that again. Breathe into your low belly, your low back. Hold there. Breathe into your mid-abdomen and your mid-back. Hold there. Fill all the way into the chest, all the way into the shoulders. Once you've got the full breath, just relax and hold. And then exhale again for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll start up Ujjayi breathing. So slow inhales through the nose, filling from the bottom to the top, just like you're sipping the air in through a straw, engaging the muscles in the back of the throat. And then exhaling slowly out the nose like you're fogging up a mirror, using those same muscles just to narrowly release, letting the breath come all the way back down to empty. And just start to take this breath over at your own pace. Notice the sound this breath creates, like ocean waves or like hollow wind. And this relationship that we're establishing with our breath, this is fundamental to this practice. It's our link into mindfulness, where you start taking an action of the body that usually you don't have to worry about, and you take it over, and you start to bring consciousness to it. You start to bring effort to it. And as we focus in on just slowly inhaling, slowly exhaling, you're drawing your mind away from fixing, solving, changing, and you're bringing the mind into what is, the present moment, the present experience. I'm not saying that's something that just suddenly happens and bam, you're in the present moment, present experience. This is a practice. And it's something that the more that we focus in on, the more that we practice, the more time we spend with it, the more we're able to carve out this beautiful space where we are centering. We are letting the layers of stress, layers of pressure release away from the mind, release away from the body. So just take what works for me this morning, leave the rest behind, and allow your breath to be your deeper guide for your practice. Nice deep inhales, nice long exhales. Blink your eyes open to a soft gaze up front. And take an inhale to extend your arms wide, reach up tall. And on the exhale, just bring your palms together, draw your hands down into your heart center. Nice, take that again. Inhale, reach and extend wide and tall from the front edge of the sit bones. On the exhale, hands into the heart. Nice, take one more of these. Inhale, extend wide and tall. Exhale, bring the hands down and in. Perfect. We'll take an inhale just to lengthen and lift. But then on the exhale, we're going to do a twist to the right, just reaching your right hand behind you and your left hand to the outside of your right knee or thigh. Once your hands are set, inhale to reach your spine up tall. And on your exhale, twist from center and just send the gaze back across your shoulder. Hold on to this twist and let the inhales and the exhales move through the body, massaging your body out inside of this pose. And just slow and controlled, taking your time. Awesome, friends. Let's take one more round of breath, taking that full deep inhale to come all the way up to the top. And on your exhale, just sigh out your mouth all the way down to empty. Inhale to reach your arms wide and tall, face to the front of the room. And on your exhale, you'll bring your left hand down to your side, and then your right hand is going to grab onto the top left side of your head and gently pull your right ear towards your right shoulder. You can have your left hand to the ground, you can place it on your hip or thigh, or some folks like to extend the arm out to the side. And then from here, we can walk the fingertips forward more to the forehead, lift the chin up. You'll find you're stretching the front left edge of your neck. Or keep it right where it is, right where it was, and just stretch onto the center left side of your neck. Or walk your fingers more back towards the base of the skull, chin comes down, and find the back left edge of your neck. Staying with your breathing. Using that exhale to release any pressure. Release tension. And then bring the peace sign fingers of your right hand to press into your right temple, returning the head up to center. And we'll take that on the other side, inhaling to extend the arms wide and tall. And then on the exhale, you'll take that twist over to the left, so bring the left hand behind you, right hand to the outside of your left knee or thigh. Once your arms are set up, inhale, lengthens your spine up nice and tall in space. And on the exhale, just twist from center and take the gaze back across your shoulder. Hold your body inside of this twist and then just work through your inhales and work through your exhales. Whenever we're in a twist, the inhale will work a little bit to get into the pose, and then when the exhale comes out, your body releases into it. So inhale creates the space, then on the exhale, your body releases into. Nice, let's take one more deep inhale right here in the twist. When your exhale comes, just sigh out the mouth. Inhale, arms wide and tall, face to the front of the room. And on the exhale, right hand at your side, left hand grabs onto the top right side of your head and just draws the left ear towards the left shoulder, stretching out the right side of your neck. And same thing, you could walk your fingertips more to the forehead, lifting the chin up, finding the front right edge of your neck. Or walk more back towards the base of the skull. Allow the chin to dip down, finding the back right edge of your neck. And just exploring here, finding out where the tension is, using your breath to process the tension that we find. Perfect. All right, so take the peace sign fingers of your left hand, press to your left temple, and just bring your head back up to center. Once the neck's feeling good, inhale to extend the arms wide and tall. And on the exhale, just draw your hands down into your heart center. And then we'll take the legs out in front of us. If you are up on a blanket, just slide the blanket out of the way. Take the legs out and give a little bit of a roll out through your ankles or a little bit of movement through your knees. Just bringing some blood flow and some circulation back in. And then the next pose that we'll work with is Baddha Konasana, so bound angle pose, cobbler's pose. Bottoms of the feet come together, your legs make a diamond shape. You can determine how close the heels are towards the groin or how far away they are. You can play with that. And then we'll find the front edge of the sit bones, same way, pulling the flesh away or just walking back. Draw the length of your spine up nice and tall. You could pull against just your mid-shins if you like. Breathe into it. And then when your exhale comes, hinge out from the hips and just dive your head down towards your feet. And then part of this pose is going to be reaching your spine forward and out, and the other part of it's going to be letting the head relax down in terms of your spine. And then in terms of the knees and the legs, we're just letting the knees, the weight of the knees out to the side, just find that gentle opening through the hips. You can always increase that one by bringing the elbows just to the insides of your calves or insides of the knees and give a gentle pressure down. Even the weight of them just resting can do that as well. Your hands could be on your shins. You could slide to your ankles. You could do your feet like you're reading a book. Thumbs on the inside, fingers on the out. Or wrap your fingers around your toes or have your hands down to the ground, whatever works best for you. And then just noticing, on the onset of the pose, how the body feels. Maybe we're feeling a deep stretch down through the hips, down through the legs. Maybe you're feeling some nice opening going through the spine here. We're always looking for a level of sensation that is sustainable. This practice is about finding that sustainable place and then letting the breath come in and do its work, letting the breath come in and do its job. Which on the one part is just that mindful connection. On the other part, the movement of the breath in the body, this full diaphragm breathing, is showing the body how it can release physically, how it can let go and move deeper into these poses. So find your breath. stay right where you're at, or if you'd like, you can land your left elbow down more to the inside of that left calf, left knee, and then bring the right hand just high up on the thigh closer to your knee. And then we're going to give a little downwards pressure through both arms and just twist the gaze a little bit over to the right here. And then to switch that one up, drop your right elbow down to the inside of the right knee, inside of the right calf. And then just bring your left hand up a little bit higher on the thigh, closer down towards the, or a little lower on the thigh rather, closer towards your knee. I'm on the inside of the leg right here. And then just give it that gentle downwards pressure as your gaze twists over to the left. Nice. Once you've wrapped up that round of breath, let's just come back to center, come back to the holding the pose for the last couple rounds of breath. And then as you're feeling complete, just vertebrae by vertebrae, start to roll up out of this. And then again, we'll just take the legs out in front of us, give just a simple stretch, maybe roll out through your ankles, or, bend one knee at a time. Awesome, and then we're gonna make our way forward into a tabletop position, hands and knees. First thing, once we get to hands and knees, is we start to load some of the pressure, some of the weight of the body onto the wrists, is that we'll do a warm-up for the wrists and for the palms and for the fingers. So you take a regular tabletop, and then you're going to turn the inside of your wrist forward to the front of the room. Your palms are down, and your thumbs are pointing to the side. So just like that, down to the ground. And from there, you might take little rocks back and forth or side to side movements. Or you can do larger rocks back and forth, where as you lean back, you peel the hand off the mat all the way up to your fingertips, and then you roll the fingers, roll the palm back down into the mat. And if you're taking that, let's just do that a few times. That's a full roll out for your hands. It's all the way down into the palm, all the way into the wrists. And you just do that with your breathing. Exhales roll you forward. Inhales roll you back. We'll do that a couple more times. And then we'll do the back of the hands down to the mat. Your fingers could point towards one another, or you could point your fingers more to the back of the room. And I'm taking the majority of the weight back towards my sit bones. My sit bones aren't resting under my heels, but I'm just not loading a ton of pressure into the back of the hands here. You've got control of that. And again, it could be back and forth, could be side to side. You could do the same thing where you peel the hands all the way back to the fingernails, and then roll the hands back forward. And eventually we'll just end up in hero's pose. So your knees are together, tops of the feet are to the ground, Sit bones are back towards your heels. And then inside of hero's pose, we're just going to roll out through the wrists here, moving through the fingers, rolling out the hands. And I've found over the years with my power yoga practice that I really need to do what we just did with the hands every practice before I take the weight onto them, before I'm doing any type of planks or chaturangas or downward facing dogs. But I love when we provide that maintenance for the body, we're able to keep ourselves into our practices, into what we like to do in life. Come back to your tabletop, and now just start to work cat and cow. This is totally at your own pace. Customize this up. If you know where you're going, just go right into it. If you're new to this one, cow is bowing the spine, so lifting the chest and tailbone, dropping the belly. And then cat is rounding the back, so tailbone goes down, mid-back lifts up high, or letting the weight of the head release forward. You can inhale into one, exhale into the other, or you might hold for a round of breath or two into one before you move on to the next. Add any side-to-side movement or back and forth movement that feels good to you. And we like to say when you're adding this kind of movement, you want to let it follow the movement of the breath. So a slow, controlled breath ends up guiding the body into that slow, controlled movement. Awesome, friends. From here, we're going to move into downward facing dog. So from your tabletop, simply tuck your toes and draw your hips back and up in space. Make that A-frame shape with your body, relax the weight of the head, and then just slowly walk the dog out, pressing down into one heel at a time. And if you don't like to do down dog, just stay at tabletop. One at a time, reach your legs back. The leg that's reaching back, you're pressing into the ball of the foot. You'll spend a couple rounds of breath on one leg before moving to the next. In our down dog, we want to feel the spread into the circle of the palm. So spread out through your hands, spread through your fingertips. Your hands are slightly wider than your shoulders. And then release the weight of the head. As we start to hold our downward facing dog, you're lifting your hips up and back. And then your biceps are hugging into center line like you're holding a beach ball between your arms. Hips lift up nice and tall, and then we let the heels draw down back behind us. Beautiful. And then you'll just take baby steps on the balls of your feet to a forward fold at the top of your mat. You can move to your fists or your fingertips at any point in time. If you're in your tabletop, you're just going to make your way to a standing forward fold up at the top of the mat, friends. And as we arrive, we'll take a half lift. So press your hands either into your shins or your thighs, and then bring your spine parallel to the ground. Gaze is down, crown of the head is reaching forward. We need to strengthen around the spine here, so core is around the lower back. For your upper back, let your shoulder blades tone towards one another. And on your exhale, just release that forward, and we'll create a ragdoll frame. So opposite hand grabs the outside of opposite elbow or bicep, and just let the body gently sway side to side here, or lightly rock back and forth. You can give your head any nod yes or any nod no. We want the feet at hip bone distance or maybe even slightly wider. And we're just inviting the weight of the head to relax, the weight of the arms and the torso to relax. And you can always add a bend into your knees, deepen the bend in your knees if you need to let the arms get even deeper into this, to let your spine bend a little bit deeper into it. stay with your breathing. Nice, friends. Release your arms down. Let the weight of the head and arms just be super heavy. And then take a slow vertebrae by vertebrae roll up to standing. We want to let the head be the very last thing that stacks up. And then when the head stacks up, you can inhale to reach your arms wide and tall. And on the exhale, just bring your hands down into your heart center, right at standing. Awesome. So inhale to reach up into mountain. So arms wide, tall, lift up, maybe arc slightly back. And on the exhale, we'll just take a swan dive back into our forward fold, hinging out from the hips, releasing the head all the way at the bottom. Take an inhale halfway up. So again, press to your hands or your thighs, parallel the spine, strengthen the core and the shoulders. And then refold on that exhale. And we're just going to step back into our tabletop position. From this tabletop, start to work your way back into child's pose. So knees out wide towards the edges of the mats. Tops of the feet are to the ground, big toes draw together, and then we'll release the sit bones back towards the heels and bring the weight of the forehead all the way down to the ground. You can, in child's pose, keep your arms lengthened out in front of you. You can also tuck your arms down at your sides. Find that deep, slow breath. Nice breathing. We're on our last couple rounds of breath with this one. Let's take one more inhale together, fill up. And sigh out the mouth. Slowly work your way back up into our tabletop position. And from tabletop, we'll set up thread the needle for your right arm. So leave the left hand rooted to the ground underneath your left shoulder. And on an inhale, reach your right arm wide and tall, twist open, so you're facing the right. Now on your exhale, you'll dive the right arm underneath the left, reach your fingertips over to the side of the room, and then bring the side of the head and the shoulder down to the ground. And I'll show you a front profile of that, where the right arm extends up tall in space, and then dives underneath the left, and then side of the head, shoulder all the way to the ground. You could keep your left hand or forearm out to your side, or you might choose to bind the back of the left hand behind you to the outside of your right hip. You can leave your left knee underneath your left hip, or extend your left leg out to the side where your right hand is stretching. And then we've got the hips right up above the knees so that the torso is sloping down into the shoulder, into the arm, into the side of your head. And then you're just staying with your breathing here. You can always try on one of these options, and if it works for you, fantastic. If not, you can go back to where you were or try out a different option. And again, we're here to be with the breathing. Let the breath come in. Beautiful breathing. And then if your left leg's out to the side, I want you to bring your left knee back under your hip. If your left hand's behind you, let's all bring the left hand back to the ground. Press into your left palm. On an inhale, bring your right arm from underneath. Stretch and twist open to the right wall, reaching your arm up tall in space. And on your exhale, come down into your tabletop. We're going to go into the other side of thread the needle right away. So just leaving your right hand underneath your shoulder at tabletop. Take that inhale to reach your left arm up tall, twisting open to the left. And on the exhale, take all of that length and then dive the left arm underneath the right. Get a nice reach through it, and then bring the shoulder and the side of the head down to the ground. And again, you could keep your right hand or forearm anywhere at your side, or if you're going to bind, you can take the arm up in space and then drop the back of the hand, back of the right hand to the outside of your left hip. Right knee is underneath your body, or you're extending the right leg out to the side where your left hand is reaching, pushing the toes into the ground and having that push you back in towards your shoulder. Think about your knees are below your hips, so hips are up in space. And then we've got the weight of the torso sloping down from the hips, pressing into the outside of the head, pressing into the outside of the arm. Find those inhales and find those exhales. Take your time. And it's just that slow climb up to the top of the breath. And then just allowing the breath to slowly roll all the way back down to empty. You know, you could picture if you were at the beach on a beautiful day where there's just a slow rolling waves coming in. And that process of those waves slowly rolling in, coming up the shore, hitting the top, and then slowly receding all the way back out before the next wave rolls in. That's kind of what we're thinking about here.
Nice. And then if your right leg is out to the side, just bring your right knee back underneath your hip. Everybody plant the right hand to the ground underneath your shoulder. And then on an inhale, pull your left arm from underneath, twist open, reach up nice and tall. Then on your exhale, come down to your tabletop. From here, we're going to work into a really nice back bend Sphinx pose. So you'll take your legs all the way to the back of your mat, your feet to the back of your mat, tops of the feet are down to the ground. And then in Sphinx pose, we press up onto the forearms, up onto the elbows. Elbows are right underneath the shoulders. And just like the statue of the Sphinx, we're going to root down into the forearms, into the elbows, and lift up through the chest and find that length through the back of the neck. If you'd like, just take a twist with your chin, turning the chin, with your neck, turning your chin across your left shoulder. Holding for as long as you'd like. And then eventually taking it across the opposite shoulder. And as you can already feel, Sphinx gets right into that lumbar spine. You can also feel it in your belly through the abdominal wall as well. You could, continue to twist over your left or your right shoulder. You could leave the head upright with length through the back of it. Or another option is just to let the weight of the head gently fall forward. And then we create a cat in the upper spine. The shoulders are lifting up as the head comes down. You could do really slow little side-to-side movements with your chin here. Maybe at times you put more pressure down into your left hip than into your right hip. And then from that back bend, we'll take it into beach pose. So you're going to release down to your belly like you're laying out at the beach. Arms out in front of you. You could do your chin down to your hands or the ground, or your forehead down to the ground or your hands. And just begin, once you're here, pick your feet up in space, so you're bending your knees. And you can start to roll out your ankles, but then we can get a little deeper with this one, where we're windshield wiper circling the ankles. So it could be a combination of just straight, side to sides, or I'm circling, and as I let the feet go away from me, they get closer down to the ground, so that the legs open up a little bit. And as I circle back in, the heels come closer in towards the sit bones. And you can just move clockwise or counterclockwise at your own pace, nothing too specific here. You can continue those circles, those windshield wiper circles, as long as you like. And at some point, it can just feel nice just to relax the weight of the body down, just to release the legs. Just resting, noticing the movement of the breath. And then once you're feeling complete with this one, just take the palms under your shoulders, lift up into a tabletop, and then drop one of your hips down to the ground. Bring your legs forward in space. Good time if you want to grab a drink of water, stay hydrated.
And then the rest of class, we're going to take all the way down on our backs. So when you're ready, you just slide your sit bones up in space. Make sure there's room for you to lay back down. And then just release the weight of the head down to the ground. We can start just bringing the knees into the chest and just give a little side-to-side rock. You could have your hands wrapped around the legs. Just massaging out the hips, the low back, and the sacrum. And then take your left foot down to the ground and send your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. You can leave your left foot rooted. This is reclined pigeon, so a hip opener for the right hip. Or you can pick the left foot up off the ground, interlace your hands around the shin or the hamstring on that left leg. And just gently pull the knee in towards your chest. Find some flexion in your toes and let your right knee gently flex forward. I'm adding a side-to-side rock here. And what I like about the side-to-side rock is that you get more massaging for the hips, sacrum, and low back. But I feel like you're also able to get into the edges of the hip as well. And that's a great thing with this practice. Ultimately this is all about just exploration. Figuring out what works for your body, what feels good for your body. And there might be little adjustments that you take that suddenly open up a part of it. So we always want to keep that, explorative mindset here. Nice. Let's just release to a full morning stretch. So just reaching the legs out in front of you, reaching your arms back overhead behind you, and giving a roll out through your ankles, through your wrists, into your fingers and your toes. And then just bringing the right foot to the ground with your knee up in space and crossing your left ankle over the top of the right knee or thigh. Lifting the right foot off the ground and interlacing the hands around the shin or the hamstring. Again, you can also keep the right foot rooted to the earth. You can add some flexion, your left toes flexing back towards your shin, heel pointing to the right side of the room. Left knee could flex forward a little bit. Stay still or add a little side-to-side rock. Just continuing your work with your breath. You're doing awesome. try this one. Just reach your legs straight up in space. You can slide the hands to the back of your legs, or just relax your arms at your sides and give a nice roll out through the ankles and through the feet. Plant both of your feet down to the ground. Have them at hip bone distance from one another, and then reach your arms down your sides and step your heels in so your fingers can touch back against your heels. That lines your knees up underneath, or your knees above your heels. And then we'll rock the hips forward so the tailbone plants and there's a little arch right in your low back away from the ground. And then with your inhales, vertebrae by vertebrae, peel the hips off the ground, lifting them up tall in space. And then when the exhale comes, vertebrae by vertebrae, just roll the hips back down into the ground until they rock forward, tailbone plants, you get that arch in your low back. And as you go through these, you can leave your arms down at your sides, or like I'm doing, you can lift your arms up tall in space, back behind you on the inhales. And on the exhales, you can roll back down into the ground. So these are just spinal roll-ups in and out of bridge pose. Roll-ups and roll-downs. The next time that your hips land down, just bring your knees into your chest. If you want to do happy baby, peace sign fingers to your big toes or hands to the edges of your feet. Gently pull down on the frame and just give a little side to side rock here. Massaging out the hips, sacrum, low back. In happy baby, we've got the ankles stacked above the knees, so the bottoms of the feet are shining up in space. And if the grip on the toes of the feet isn't working for you, you can grip to that, outside of the legs wherever it feels best for you. The shape is just the knees wide, and then bent bottoms of the feet up, and then bringing low back close down into the ground. Nice, release. And we'll start to do a reclined spinal twist. So just stack your knees over to the left. Your hips roll onto the outside edge of the left hip. Reach and extend the right arm out to the right and let your gaze go out across your right fingertips. Left hand can rest on top of the outside of that right leg or even give a gentle downwards pull. Right shoulder is relaxing towards the ground at your side. And then we're just letting the breath snake its way through the spine here. And then draw your knees back up. Just give a little rock side to side, neutralizing the spine.
And then we'll switch things out. So stacking the knees now over to the right. You want your hips to roll onto the outside edge of the right hip. And then reach and extend your left arm out to the left. Send your gaze out across your left shoulder. Let the left shoulder just, pull towards the ground or, fall towards the ground. And continue that work with your breath here, where your inhale is working slightly against the twist, and on the exhale, that's moving with the twist. Just staying slow and deep. And again, just slowly bring the knees out of this, back up into your chest. Give that little rock side to side on the back, massaging the hips, the sacrum. And then we're going to set up into our final resting pose, our corpse posture, Savasana. So you can just lengthen the legs out in front of you. Let the weight of the feet relax open. Release arms at your sides with the palms turned open to the sky. Close through the eyes. You could put your blanket underneath your hips, head, or underneath your knees. And you want to make yourself super comfortable here and just allow the weight of the body just to release down towards the ground. Let go of controlling the breath, your body takes back over on it. And as we create this physical stillness, we're inviting the mind and the emotions into this same place of stillness, so into a deeper place of peace. So nice and slow, you start to bring the life back into your body. You can move through your fingers, move into your toes. If you'd like, just stretch and reach your arms back overhead behind you to a full morning stretch, legs out in front of you, and just give a roll out through your ankles, give a roll out through your wrists. Turn the weight of your body onto your side, curl up into a fetal position. Find a couple rounds of breath. This is our transition pose out of the corpse posture before we bring ourselves back upright. And then just bring yourself to a comfortable cross-legged position or whatever pose you want to end our class with. If you are in a cross-legged position, take a moment to find the front edge of your sit bones. Bring that full length of your spine up into play. Maybe a roll of the shoulder heads down away from the ears on the back. And then bring your hands together in front of your sternum, so in front of the heart center. Your thumbs can just relax back against the chest. And in the chakra philosophy, Hatha, the heart center, it's this energy, this wheel of energy. And with the heart center, what's happening is that this is what is processing all of our grief. This is processing our disappointments. This is processing our hatred. This is processing our anger. And this is moving us, processing that and moving us back into a place of love, back into a place of redemption, back into this place of positivity. So friends, thanks so much for coming onto your mat today and doing your work, moving that energy through your body, moving that energy through yourself, emotions, through our mental place. The light in me greets the light in you. Have a beautiful rest of it. Much love. Namaste.